to be sure that he walks me through that process and that I am prepared for the funeral and that I get the quality I seek without breaking the budget. Because it's a very difficult thing. No one wants to feel like a cheapskate handling a funeral of a loved one, but you also can't afford to go broke either. You know, funerals are statistically the third largest expense in someone's life. The Pine Box sells the same caskets and funeral merchandise that is offered at funeral homes, but at a tremendous savings, and delivery is immediate and free within the Houston area. Visit their website, thepinebox.com, or call Chip directly at 1-888-PINE-BOX. That's 1-888-PINE-BOX. I trusted them, and you can. The Pine Box.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend
For over 40 years.
Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree pruned. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on.
Over there. No.
1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
For Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate. Stimulating. Hit you right in the... there you go.
Oh, yeah.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host,
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. It is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I'll let it play a little bit longer there to make sure that the buttons I'm about to press on the next thing I'm about to do will all work because I'd like to do more in the world of our social media, in the world of our digital. I am live on more than just the radio. I am live on YouTube and Rumble. KSEV Radio is the best. We're now searchable on both. It finally took Rumble a while. The Amigos have been broadcasting on Rumble since December. Chris X has now been doing it for like a week or two, and I've been doing it for a while, and we are finally searchable there. I think we have like 10 subscribers or something. So if you do punch KSEV Radio into the search bar on Rumble or on YouTube, you will find our channel. And then also at Radio Craig C on X, I live stream to my X page every single, and I'm getting more and more people that are viewing it that way, which is cool. So thank you to people that are going there and subscribing or doing whatever in that world. But a lot to talk about today. You will see the clips of the audio pieces that I'm going to play as I play them here on the show. I do want to get right to something that I thought was fairly interesting in the world in which we currently live and the craziness that is our society. And honestly, I'm definitely going to talk about the scientists more today, too, because that's an issue that's been going on for quite a bit. But there was an announcement about Iran, about the president, and a request that came in from Pakistan. So let's go ahead and play that first. This is from Fox News.
Moments ago on Truth Social, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of the Field Marshal and Prime Minister of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such a time as their proposal is submitted.
Yeah, that is President Trump on social media talking about the ceasefire, talking about what's likely to happen now in the world of the ceasefire, and that the continuation of it with Iran hopefully allows us to make a deal. And it sounds very much like the president is in a space where making a deal is of a decent amount of importance. in our society, in our country, for the people of this country, because we don't want to see some of the negatives that have come with this ongoing conflict in Iran. But even as we go through all that, even as we figure out what the next step is supposed to be and how willing Iran is to play ball, the other big thing that I thought was important is that it says that the blockade will continue because we need leverage. We can't back down completely. Not going back into a conflict in which we're actively bombing them again is not necessarily a bad idea if we're controlling all of the ports of entry, all of the waterways, and creating a different set of pressures on Iran. I actually think that's quite a bit better. So it will be interesting to see what the end result of that is, how that plays out, where we go from here. I was someone who was hoping this conflict would have been over by now. Certainly someone who was hoping that within that 2-week period we would have found an avenue to make a deal. But I think a lot of it rests with the reality that Iran refuses to face, that we are certainly a force that's not going to be messed with. We're not going to be told no in ways that they're trying to tell us no about certain topics they're trying to tell us no about. None of that's going to work out in their best interest. It's going to be a bad thing for them if they continue down this rabbit hole that they're in. And whenever they realize that, this conflict will finally be over. But until that day comes, we'll keep having certain things that we have to deal with that are not exactly the best. Another thing that's in the news, this story was bigger here a few days ago, or even maybe a week ago or so, when it actually broke in town. The story about a Venezuelan man who beat someone to death with a sledgehammer. This is now making national news. It's popping up more and more places. I saw a discussion about it on Fox News today, where they talked about a 19-year-old Venezuelan who came in illegally. He crossed over the border. He came as an undocumented minor during the Biden administration because he was under 18 at the time, now 19 years old, and he killed somebody with a sledgehammer. And there's also a request, one that Harris County is trying to avoid working with, as is a big deal, and you've heard on the Amigos and everyone else. And even you have Ken Paxton trying to fight this sort of stuff. Harris County doesn't want to cooperate with ICE. This is one of those moments where you really need cooperation in order to turn someone over who is a violent, terrible person that did a horrible thing that may or may not be protected by political opinions, not by the reality of the situation we're in. But here's a little bit of what Fox News said about this story. I thought this was kind of interesting, just reporting on it earlier today. And again, you might be more familiar with this from when it first broke here in our city several days ago, but here we go.
DHS telling Fox that this 19-year-old illegal migrant from Venezuela, he was caught at the border as an unaccompanied minor in 2023. Then he was released into the U.S. by the Biden administration. Take a look at him here. Now Jose Abraham Chirino Leonisi is charged with murder. He is accused of brutally beating his coworker to death with a sledgehammer in Houston and then stealing his truck. Investigators say the victim, a 47-year-old carpenter, was found dead inside of a home under renovation after his sister called police when she couldn't reach him. He was later arrested after deputies found him driving the victim's stolen truck. Now, this comes just 1 week after a separate case in Fort Myers here, where police say a Haitian illegal migrant released under the Biden administration was caught right here on surveillance video in this brutal attack, violently hitting this gas station clerk and mother with a hammer repeatedly.
Yeah, so I'll stop it right there. You get the idea. This is one of several stories like this throughout Texas or throughout the country. And here's the thing. I'll go ahead and say it out loud, the part that some people might think is the subtext of this, but isn't. I'm not trying to make you racist and hate everybody who comes from another country, especially people who are willing to come into this country legally, although that's the context to the discussion, especially if you're on the left, because they don't want to have a valuable conversation about the actual realities, that there are bad people that do terrible things every day. Several of them have come into our country illegally, and they do awful things to people that did not deserve to be in that situation because the person harming them should not have been here at all whatsoever, and then they get released and they get an opportunity to do something else to someone else. If you're on the left, the only argument you have against this discussion is you will accuse me or somebody of being racist and trying to stoke fear of racism in our society by simply telling you true stories. That is obviously disgusting. That's obviously ridiculous, and it's obviously someone or a group of people who has no interest talking about the substance of a topic. They just want to find a way around it. We're getting a call. I'll just go ahead and take this call on the air. Caller, what's your name?
Well, I am not a professor.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy X. How you doing, buddy?
All right, man. All right. Hey, what happened to producer Phil? He's one and gone?
No, he's going to come back. He had some other stuff going on. He's just starting out, so I think we're ironing out that schedule. But hopefully in the next couple weeks, he'll be here every day.
Gotcha, man. So, you know, I'm listening to your discussion right now, and here are my thoughts, Greg. Remember Godfather 2, the movie. I'm pretty confident you, as a proud Italian American,
I definitely know it. One of the best movies in the history of the world. Go ahead.
100%. Greatest number 2 ever.
Yes.
Close second might be Top Gun 2. But,
sure.
But we'll keep moving on.
That's funny.
Remember the scene when they show Vito Corleone. Of course, he was Vito something else. And he takes the boat, he gets to Ellis Island, and that whole process, and he was put in quarantine.
Yeah.
It always makes me think about that's how the legal process used to be. Yes, we are a nation of immigrants. We are a nation of legal immigrants.
Right.
We are a nation where immigrants came to this country through a process and was vetted, okay? That little frail 12-year-old boy was put in quarantine because he had, I don't know, measles, chickenpox, who knows?
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but the process was there.
You know what's really interesting about that, Jimmy? I'm married to somebody who was not born in this country, so my wife became a citizen through our marriage, and I got to go through the process with her, the legal process of becoming a U.S. citizen, and it's awesome. There's something really cool about all the different aspects of it and experiencing it as someone who was born and raised here. So that's not what I went through. Her studying our history and being ready to answer one of a different, I think it was like 100 trivia questions about the United States that she still knows the answer to today. You could still test her now on some of that stuff, even though I think they only asked her 4 or 5. And then even the ceremony where she gets the official citizenship with the document and all of that. Like, there's something cool about going through that. And we're still a nation that accepts people who want to go through the proper legal channels to enter into this country. It's such a ridiculous argument to pretend as though conservatives aren't willing to support that, because they are. If people want to go through the proper legal channels to become a U.S. citizen, wonderful. It's the illegal people who are doing terrible things that obviously are at the forefront of the discussion, and they exist, even if Democrats want to pretend they don't.
That is 100% true. And, to your point, becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen is a gift.
Yes.
And our country allows more immigrants into our country legally than the entire world combined. That is a hardcore fact.
Yep.
We allow over 1 million people to become Americans every year, and the entire world doesn't have that many that are allowed in different countries.
Yeah.
So that's fact number 1. Fact number 2 is, man, my mom, my grandmother, my great-grandmother spoke no English, came here legally, went through the process, and all became citizens.
Yeah.
Okay? And they all went through the process, okay? People back in the 1912s when Vito Corleone came here, okay? They didn't sneak in.
Right.
Okay? They came here on a boat, and we knew who they were.
Yes.
And so what's wrong with that?
No.
What's wrong with vetting people so that the right people and the good people and the people we want to be here are here, and the other ones, we turn them back.
Yeah. Now, amen, Jimmy X. You know, it's really funny. My great-grandfather is the one that came here on a boat from Italy, and I can see his name at Ellis Island. If I want to go there and look it up, I can find him, where he signed in to become, to start the process of becoming a U.S. citizen. So absolutely. Like, a lot of us have our roots somewhere else, and there's still a valuable process there. And President Trump has even said he wants the best. He doesn't want just anybody. He wants the best to come to our country to make our country better. There is no slamming of a door. It's just making sure people use the door that's designed to be the welcome into the country. Thanks so much for the call, buddy.
You got it, Craig X.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Talk to you later. I'm still going to not say yes to the X term because I'm not a Gen X, a millennial, and I don't want to necessarily feature the millennialness either. All right, I want to play one other piece of audio, and then we'll take our first break. I thought this was interesting. This is a conversation about a few different things, but Sheila Surflewis McCormick has resigned because she's a giant piece of trash, is one way I'm going to say it. She was accused of a ridiculous amount of bad things, whether it was campaign finance fraud, just typical Democratic stuff. And then they said they were going to open an investigation into some of the bad things she did. And then this is the thing I hate the most. Politicians think they can just run away. They think they're above the law so much that if they actually are caught red-handed, and that's the only way they quit their job. They have to be caught red-handed to do this. But if they're caught, they want to just quit. And they want to be like, you know what? If I go away, you guys just pretend all this didn't happen. That's, of course, still horrible and terrible. But here's a breaking news report from CNN talking about the politician deciding to hang it up because her hand was in so many cookie jars, just ridiculous amount of cookie jars.
We have some breaking news, and that is that Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Surflewis McCormick has just resigned from Congress. Last month, a subcommittee found the Florida lawmaker guilty of violating several campaign finance laws and regulations. She's also facing federal criminal charges related to FEMA funding. The Congresswoman has pleaded not guilty and has denied wrongdoing. CNN chief congressional correspondent Manu Raju is on Capitol Hill. And Manu, there was a bit of a deadline happening this afternoon, and I guess...
I'm actually going to stop it right there because I know the CNN expert is going to come in, and I definitely do not use expert with any sort of respect for this person because I could answer this question. If someone threw to me and I was at Capitol Hill, which, by the way, you don't need to be at Capitol Hill to report on this story. I never understand why news media does that. They want to stand in a place where news sort of happened hours before they're actually in that place. But they could throw to me and be like, so what occurred here? And I would say a very simplistic, she did a whole lot of fraud and they caught her because we understand that a lot of other people who are politicians in this country do just as much ridiculous corruption and fraud. They're doing all the fraud and all the corruption. I'm saying it goofy on purpose. And when they get caught doing that part, they again think they can just run away, hide, and that everyone will leave them alone. Essentially trying to say, like, hey, time out for the rest of my life. Not allowed to catch me, not allowed to tag me. I can't be it anymore. And they absolutely deserve to be thrown in jail. I think that people who get caught in the next few months doing bad things, if we actually throw some of these people in prison, even if it's just for like a day, I think that that'll appease a whole lot of voters who would like to see that happen and would feel as though there actually is a punishment for the many, many crimes that Washington, D.C. perpetrates on us every single day. All right, I'm going to take a break. A lot coming up. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters. And we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last. So we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
Mattress Mac here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Here's Dr. Mohammed Abdu celebrating the murder of the Israeli embassy staffers. Tell me this isn't the biggest threat to you and your kids' public safety? Tell me so I can laugh in your face and call you a clown. Check this out.
Let us be a threat. Let us fulfill that threat. And you know what I mean? With all that it entails, with a full blunt force, let us engage in jihad. And there are rules to jihad. And Muslims, you know that Allah has commanded us with rules. We don't engage in wanton violence, but we don't accept the negative peace either. Aaron Bushnell, that sibling that engaged in the assassination of 2 Zionists, God bless him. He took action. Let's take action. Not only that kind of action, just to be very clear, because there's also building. We need to destroy. We need to create alternatives.
I was at the scene, folks. They knocked on my door late at night. Judge Janine had been on the job, I think, a day. I think that was the day she got hired as the United States Attorney in D.C. I just remember, going down. Obviously, they moved the police tape. We're sitting there. We're looking at the scene. Like everything, the blood, everything's still fresh on the sidewalk. Folks, this is the single greatest threat to the citizens of the United States. Matter of fact, citizens of the globe and civilized countries, your public safety and that of your kids.
That is Dan Bongino, of course. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Bongino talking about a horrific story where, of course, the end result is a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of places who think that good things happened when Israeli people were killed. Zionists, as he says in the cut that they play of the horrible person essentially saying how great this is. Here's what's terrifying about that and why Bongino is calling it so scary too. The biggest reason it's terrifying is this is what they're attempting to condition people to believe now. This is what they want young liberal voters to think is good, to think is right. They want hatred. They want hatred of Trump. They want hatred of Trump voters, of course, but they want hatred of quite a few other groups of people. And then this same side of the aisle that constantly advocates for hatred wants to pretend as though they're the good guys. They want to pretend they're advocating for that hatred because it's deserved. That's what they'd say. They say that, Zionists or the Israeli government is in control of society and doing terrible things to you every day, whoever it is, whatever the organization is, or just the politicians and then the supporters of said politicians that they blame for whatever the problems might be. They want you to be entitled in your anger. They want you to believe as though you have a righteous, calling to hate people that live in your same country and to love people who want death to America. It literally makes no sense. It is one of the dumbest things happening. But I'll tell you this, and they say it a lot, weak times create weak men and tough times create strong men. We're in a very weak version of our society right now for the people walking around every day. And I imagine people listening to the show know this, and they're not part of the problem, by the way, but they know how much of our society has become weak in a way that allows them to be manipulated so simplistically by something that's so easily figured out to be the exact opposite of what's good for you, the exact opposite of what's good for me and what benefits our society as a whole. This is obviously not a good way to live. Everybody who was saying, go Hamas, pro-Hamas, in trying to support Palestine, didn't seem to understand that they were a terrorist organization that hate a whole bunch of people, including their own citizens. Hamas kills and hates the people that live in Palestine as much as anybody else was accused of hating those groups of people. So it's just crazy to, again, think that these are the kind of things that we see all the time. And then there's so many stories that matter that as we're focused over here paying attention to this, and Bongino is warning us about the severity of the problem and the brain broken derangement syndrome, whatever you want to call it. There's these other things that seem to matter that people want to pretend aren't important. I thought this was a really good thing that went viral all over the internet. It was someone confronting Ilhan Omar for all of her suspicious involvement in different financial fraud things that happen in Minnesota, financial adjustments and whatnot. And so these individuals deserve to be confronted and are not being confronted enough. Let's go ahead and play on that audio.
The last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake on it? So you think you're stupid for asking me anything? I am? Yes. What about the American people who are wondering how you made such a big mistake? I have explained to the American people. What's the explanation? I have given them the explanation.
You have not.
Want to tell our viewers? Because I don't want to tell you jack shit. How about
Okay,
that?
all right,
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you, Carson.
I had to hit a little button there because there was a piece of audio that was supposed to be edited that was not edited correctly, but we will go ahead and figure that out. At least it's not a problem on the internet, just a problem on the radio. But nonetheless, yes, Ilhan Omar, a complete bag of crap in how she responds to certain questions and is asked certain things because of how mad she gets that someone defies her. How dare anybody challenge her and her power? We got another call. Caller, what's your name?
That's Chris in Spring. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, what do you want to say, Chris? This is the first time you've called into the show. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, but I did want to talk about the fraud. So the Kevin Warsh hearing today, the new Fed chair, and Tom Tillis, a man who's lost his fastball, gets up there during his time. In the first 5 minutes, with charge says, Mr. Warsh, Mr. Trump, please let's leave Jay Powell alone. Even though the building is over budget by $700 million.
Yeah,
it's on C-SPAN.
Oh, it's there.
I would advise the boomers too. They need to look. They need to know what's going on here.
Yes.
Now, this is the same institution that gave us 40% inflation out of COVID, along with Hunter's dad, Pelosi, Schumer, Janet Yellen. So this, I was astonished. And Tillis is up there saying, let's move on. Let's move on. No.
Yeah.
There needs to be accountability. This is crazy.
Yeah. So what do you think of the nomination for the new Fed chair?
I mean, they're all East Coast, educated at Harvard, civil rights, dude. I'm not an East Coast guy. I'm a Texan. We need to get off that. But I don't. I mean,
you don't have high hope. I hear you. I hear you saying you don't have high hope. You feel like it's going to be more of the same.
Oh, they're going to run. I mean, just look at a chart on the S&P 500 in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's not normal. It's okay. And then Trump, that's all he cares about now. And it's like, if you're going to attack a country, you can't worry about other things, my man, because then that compromises you. So, you know, it's good.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much, man. It sounds like you're done. So I'll let you go. I will play some of that audio because I did think it was interesting. I have higher hopes. And I know that some people just think that that's naive. I think that people like Chris in Spring, and I know he's a millennial, and I'm also a millennial. I know a lot of people like Chris in Spring, or at least that have some sentiments, some beliefs that it seems Chris has about a whole lot of stuff that we're just seeing the same crap over and over again, no matter who it is, even President Trump. Actually, you know what? Before I hit play on any audio from the conversation about the Fed chair nomination, Kevin Warsh, there was a lot of discussion about that today. I dove deep on a set of data that I thought was interesting to me, and I don't know how interesting it'll be to you. And I'll just be fully candid in why I'm not sure it's interesting to you. Radio is in a platform that's reaching people of a certain generation and not necessarily reaching people of younger generations as much as it should or could or I wish did, because I think that young people would be smarter if one of the things they listen to more was radio. But it's just not there. So any conversation about young voters or the data that suggests that people of a certain age are turning away from Trump, even if they said they voted for him in 2024, which a lot of those polling and data, I reject it. I think it's stupid. I think it's oftentimes manipulated, and the people who are most likely to disagree with the data that's, I think, desired to be the outcome of this. Essentially, the pollsters want a negative Trump poll, and the people who are most likely to sway it the other direction don't do polls. A lot of people who get a phone call who are Trump supporters think like I do. They think the poll is stupid, so they hang up on the person trying to ask them stupid questions and just go, it doesn't even matter what my answer is. You'll probably say this. But anyway, I digress. The whole point of this is to say that a lot of data suggests that younger people are no longer fans of Trump. And I think there's a very simplistic reason why that might be true, because it might very well be true. I'm not sure that a whole lot of young voters who would have voted Trump into office in 2024 would now by 2026 be dissatisfied with that decision. But I think a lot of it goes to the selfish things that are going on in your life, whether they're good or bad. Is what's happening for me better? Is a house more affordable? Is this easier for me to do? Is that easier for me to do? And when the answer to a lot of those questions is no, I'm facing the same challenges I was facing a couple years ago, my vote may be very easily swayed from one side to the other side of the aisle, granted, in a way that's not going to help me. And I should have learned that lesson in 2020 when Biden was in office for 4 years, making everything horrible and expensive. But nonetheless, if I didn't learn that lesson, now I just want change again. I just keep hoping for change because, and I'm not talking about me specifically now, I'm talking about this belief system I hear in a lot of people. At some point, change has to work. At some point, there's got to be somebody that gets sent to D.C. that does a lot of good, does more good than we think we've seen so far. And here's the thing I usually say to my friends who say that. I still think that person is Trump. I still think it is. I think I can point to several things that have happened in the last couple of years that demonstrate that this might be true. None may be higher on the list than Kash Patel over the weekend saying that people are going to go to jail because of some of the election fraud that existed or they're going to prove existed in 2020. That would be amazing. That would be incredible. It's almost like no matter what you do, it's not good enough because the totality of the system isn't upended and my own individual life isn't immediately better. And I think that that's too acute of a desire to have, or too acute of a focus to have, to hope that, you know, as soon as you put somebody in a position of power in office, that things immediately get better for you. I would say the other really big idea that's out there, and it might not be Trump who does it, it might be someone who follows in his footsteps, but to get rid of income tax entirely, to let the amount of money that these other companies pay to send products to us, which would cause a whole lot of creation of stuff here in the United States as well, which would be very good for our society as a whole. So 2 birds, 1 stone. You get rid of taxes, federal income tax for everybody, and then you also incentivize people to create more of their products at home when it's become so easy to create them elsewhere and so harmful to the United States to create them elsewhere. If you do that, you will single-handedly win over generations of voters. Just generations of them will love you for not having to pay any taxes for their lives. And taxation does feel like theft. A whole lot of us say that more and more all the time, especially here in Texas. But anyway, I think that those big wins could wind up changing people's opinion. And I think the Iranian conflict, for whatever reason, even though I still support the idea of it, I still support the way in which I think we're trying to defeat a power that is uniquely stubborn and uniquely evil. But I think the way in which we're trying to create something better long-term for our country and our society, I still think that deserves the effort that's gone into it. It deserves the things that we don't like the paying high prices for gas compared to what I was paying just a few months ago, I still think that when I evaluate that, it's better. When Biden was doing this to us, when gas prices were atrocious and we weren't at war with the highest, funder of terrorism in the world, but we were actually at war against oil and gas companies, which is what Biden went to war against, that made no sense to me. That did not make me want to pay a higher price at the pump because I thought that was ridiculous, and forcing me someday to buy an electric car I also thought was ridiculous, and it goes on and on. There's so many versions of that same thing. All right, I want to play one piece of audio because Kristen Spring mentioned it, and then we'll take a break. But this is the Fed chair nominee, Kevin Warsh. He is talking about being a believer of reform. He wants a reform-oriented Fed that can make a real difference for the American people. Again, most people who hear this probably think I've heard this before and nothing ever changes. But maybe, just maybe there's a chance, like Kash Patel is doing a better job with the FBI than people who've been put in charge of that before him. I have audio of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and I think he's doing a better job in his position of power. I think that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is doing a better job. I think I'm seeing the results of picking people who are outsiders and putting them in certain positions. And to be fair, Kristen Spring is right, that this is an elite, educated, East Coast individual who doesn't seem like enough of an outside pick to be the chair of the Fed. But when you do the things that Trump wants to see done with the Fed, it might not matter. As long as this person's someone willing to go along with the mission, that might be better than someone who optically seems like they're more willing to change in ways that benefit us. But here, let's play a little bit of this audio.
I'm committed to ensuring that the conduct of monetary policy remains strictly independent, equally committed to work with the administration and Congress on non-monetary matters that are part of the Fed's remit, and I commit myself to accountability. Finally, I'll just say this, Mr. Chairman. Milton Friedman had a phrase that always stayed with me. He always worried about government officials that lured and hung around with what he called the tyranny of the status quo. Status quo practices and policies are especially harmful when the world is changing this fast. If confirmed as chairman, I will be faithful to the Constitution, to the Federal Reserve Act, and to the very best of the Fed's traditions. I believe a reform-oriented Fed can make a real difference to the American people. And if confirmed, I will seek to create an environment in which the best people do their best work.
Yeah, that's the thing I want the most, that last part right there. The best people will do their best work, and the corrupt people will be out of a job. That's the thing I want to see. And I've heard Bongino talk about this with the FBI and him and Patel, and how many people they had to let go or force into retirement of some kind, because no matter how effective you are as a leader and how important your mission is, how much you respect, what you're trying to accomplish, if you got people working against you, under you, you only get so far. So one of the biggest things about cleaning the swamp is getting a whole lot of people to lose their jobs. And I hope that's what's being talked about here. I hope that the political motivations for people that would be under the chair of the Fed wind up going away because they don't like it. Even the people who quit and try to put out something on social media saying that they have some sort of ideological concern that makes them give up their cushy government job. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you is usually my reaction to so much of that. All right, we'll take one last break. We'll come back with a little bit more here. I don't know why it keeps happening, but I have another Tucker Carlson topic that I thought was interesting. This was Scott Jennings breaking bad against something Tucker said that I also thought was ridiculous. It's very anti-Trump, what Tucker was saying, and how he regretted essentially helping campaign for Trump. And Scott Jennings went off on it, and I thought that was pretty amazing. So we'll play that in a bit. It's the Craig Collins Show, KSCV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas. We have more coming up right after this.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Hi, this is Paul Betancourt. Property values may have peaked, making 2026 a must-year to protest your property taxes. Sign up with my excellent Betancourt tax advisor team at btanow.com, as our experienced senior property tax agents and customer service matter. The Taxman says do it now.
Sign up with Betancourt Tax Advisors by going online to btanow.com or by calling Paul's professional property team at 713-263-6100.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
How was your break? It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So, even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code STATION for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code STATION for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's STATION.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Also with us are the 2025 National Collegiate Women's Bowling Champions. They gave me a beautiful jacket. The Youngstown State Penguins. You know, the jacket's been gone over. Where are you? The jacket's been x-rayed, gone over by Secret Service at a level that doesn't look the same. It just doesn't. They've gone over it to levels that you wouldn't believe.
Make it safe.
But I want to thank you very much. It's beautiful. The team rolled their way into history with the program's first ever national title. Wow. Senior Madison Marks. Where's Madison? Congratulations. That's incredible. Was unstoppable in the finals and was named the first team All-American, and that's a big thing to be named first team All-American. So what would you average in bowling, Madison?
I ended my college career at like a 208 average.
208, that's fantastic, man. That's great. So congratulations. It's not easy bowling. I've tried it. It doesn't work too well for me.
It's hard. It's hard, sir. That is absolutely true. President Trump decided to congratulate a whole lot of college athletes, including a whole lot of female athletes at the White House today, because darn it, women's sports matter, which is such an odd thing to feel as though it's inherently conservative right now, to be fighting the fight for respect in women's sports and not the opposite, because of how long Democrats told you that we're sexist, racist pieces of crap, and that their side is the good people, the nice people, and then somehow by 2026, Democrats seem to not care at all about women's sports, and conservatives seem to care quite a bit. But I thought that was pretty great. And also just the comment about bowling. Yes, sir, it is hard. It is challenging for a lot of us. Even people like me who want to spin the bowling ball that you get at the bowling alley. I don't have my own. I don't have a fancy one, but I just put my two, my middle finger and my ring finger in the ball, don't even use the thumb, and then just try to spin it. So it looks like a professional bowler when it's rolling toward the pins until it spikes way too far and goes in the gutter. But I don't care. I like to look better than actually succeeding at that, because why not? It's fun. And sometimes it actually works out okay, but oftentimes not. All right, I do want to play this clip of Tucker Carlson. Well, it's not actually Tucker mostly, a little Tucker, but it's actually Scott Jennings on CNN getting so mad at the flip-flopping that seems to be going on in social media places from longtime conservative voices, people like Tucker. They seem to be becoming as deranged against Trump as the left has been for a long time. And then this gets used. It gets weaponized by the left. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but darn it, I used it. They like that this happens because then they can try to convince more conservatives to flip-flop because Tucker did, even though I don't think the left understands that people on the right actually do make up their own minds. We're not lemmings who follow whoever it is that tells us what to think. So if Tucker keeps going down this road, he'll just have less and less of an audience from a certain side of the political aisle who's getting annoyed by the things he's saying. But here's some of the discussion, the way that CNN wanted to use it to show that even Tucker Carlson thinks Trump is a bad guy, and how Scott Jennings was having none of it.
We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say.
I'm sorry for misleading people. And Scott Jennings, when he was talking there to his brother, the former GOP Trump speech.
I'm gonna pause it for just 1 second. You can tell how much these people on CNN are thrilled at some voice like this that they hate. They hate Tucker Carlson saying something that they like because they think this is their moment to shine.
Trader Buckley Carlson. What do you say to that?
I mean, is his preference that Kamala Harris had become the president of the United States? That will come as a surprise to, I'm sure, a lot of people who used to view Tucker Carlson as a conservative and someone who, had certain kinds of values. And what's he sorry for? That we got into an engagement here that might ultimately lead to taking away nuclear weapons?
We got into an engagement, Scott. That is quite a way to put it.
From Iran? I mean,
we started a war.
I mean, is he now claiming he had no idea that Donald Trump held the position that he would never permit Iran to have nuclear weapons? If that's what he's saying today, he's kind of a moron. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Or
by the way, Trump has called Tucker Carlson low IQ quite a bit recently, and seems Scott Jennings agrees right there that he's quite a moron. It's not that. It's not that Tucker's an idiot. What I think it is Tucker is now being swayed by where he thinks his views, his monetary, audience can come from. If he's on the internet, where a younger audience is, and if some of the data is to be believed, that younger audiences are becoming less and less happy with Trump, even as the generation above them is not being swayed at all by any of the things happening to really feel any differently than they did before. I think some of these people who are, a glutton for I need whoever's going to pay the paycheck to agree with me, and that might even be a Tucker Carlson in the situation he's in right now, where he's predominantly online. When you're doing that, this might just be the avenue or the road you go down for whatever reason. It might be how you choose to try to continue to build and monetize your platform at this moment, which says a lot about your actual belief system. And again, I'm not really necessarily sure that that's true. I still begrudgingly try not to accept every single thing Tucker's saying as legitimately his beliefs right now, just because at one point you liked the guy a lot more than you might like him now. But I'd certainly see how people are using him, how the left is benefiting from the things he's saying and doing, and how bad it is. All right, we're almost out of time. I do want to do some lighthearted stuff. I call these quick 4-ish topics. These are just sillier things that I find that I like, that I want to talk about, so we don't just do serious the entire show every single day. And as I continue to admit, I stole this directly from Dana Lash. Humanity is evolving to become more redheaded. Apparently, a Harvard study claimed that there are more and more redheads in society now than there were before. A Harvard study of nearly 16,000 ancient human remains found that the red hair gene has actually spread. I don't know what that means for us. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know if it's a disease, but I thought this was pretty funny. Since the study looked at old remains, it's not a new shift, but looking at a trend that might have taken place over several years, maybe even 4,000 years. So we might be at the apex of redheadedness, apparently. But some are saying that there might be more gingers now than before. And what's the cause of that? What's the reason for that? I don't really have a good answer. I think we also might have just more unique features, like more blue-eyed people today than we did before. There might be something to that people are intrigued by unique, different things, things that not everybody has, things that are the smaller subset of humanity, and those people might be more successful, I guess, in some sort of dating context which was creating more people that look like them. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't have a good guess because I certainly know people who would say they're redheaded and they're not successful in relationships. So I know people who would disagree there. Blue eyes, not so much. Most of the people I know who have, noticeable blue eyes usually say it helps them to pick up people. I have a few buddies that often say that if they had brown eyes, it'd be harder on them, and they'd hate it, which is great when you say it to a guy like me who's got very brown eyes. Watching videos about junk food might actually help you eat less junk food. I loved this story. This was a new study that was done, a lot of weird research. And actually, I'll say this before I even talk about the results of the topic. I love that some scientist somewhere is pitching this as a way to spend money at a university and not just, creating more COVID for the rest of us that's going to do horrible things. Somebody's like, I want to study how much junk food I eat after watching videos that have junk food in them. And somebody somewhere is like, yeah, you do that. Let's go ahead and get that information. Our society needs it. We need to know what the actual result is here. A cross-module satiation. That was very hard to say. Satiated. You would be satiated in this way. Cross-module satiation. I'm still not sure that I'm doing it right. Is the thing that's happening. Essentially, by watching a whole lot of junk food, you feel good. You feel full. You don't need to actually eat any. You feel like that desire has been fulfilled. Like you've scratched that itch. You've satiated your desire for junk food. So now you can move on to other things. I don't know if I've actually ever experienced that. They're claiming it's real. They're saying it's but the reason I think it's not real is that if you go to the grocery store and you're at the checkout at the end and you see all the candy there, that is not enough to prevent me from buying the candy. Just seeing it and maybe even like looking at it for a while is not going to make me not want to buy something. It makes me more likely to purchase a thing, I think. It is not cool to ask male guests to wear ties at a wedding. This was a weird thing that was on, I think, Reddit and then the New York Post. Young people claim that you can't demand they wear ties to stuff, especially to a wedding. This is uniquely stupid. I think this is actually uniquely very stupid. You can ask people to wear whatever the heck you want to whatever the event is that you're doing. And if they don't wear it, you can also treat them like crap for it. If someone is supposed to dress nice to a thing and they don't want to be told what to do, then you can tell them that they shouldn't come, that maybe they should skip it. I don't think this is such a big deal. I actually think it's kind of dumb, the amount of people who want to fight stupid stuff like this. Like, to be honest, here's the best way I'll say it. You show me you're a certain age in our society when you argue with someone over something that doesn't need to be argued over. That's when you show me that you're a certain age. That's when you show me that you can't put this aside and just let it go or move on from whatever the thing is that you don't like that someone is asking you to do, whatever that might be. Because sometimes it's not harmful at all to you. Putting on a tie compared to not wearing a tie, there's no version of an argument I would accept where someone tells me this is hurting them. Like, no, it's taking away my sense of my own independence or whatever the crap someone on the left might say to this. You just want to smack that person in the face and be like, you know what? No, it's not, and put it on and live life. Sometimes you get told what to do, and you actually have to do the thing, especially if it's by a boss. You know, the funniest thing that I see sometimes, and I don't know that this is actually unique to even a younger generation, which many of the topics I talk about sometimes I think are unique to a younger generation, but I don't think this one is. I've seen people of all different generations behave as though once they believe they could never be fired, like once they believe their job is so secure that no one's ever coming in and doing anything to them, their willingness to listen to their direct superior on stuff, it evaporates to a degree that I still find confusing. And I'm not saying that this is a lot of older generations. It's still probably predominantly a younger generation thing. But I've seen it in all kinds of groups where all of a sudden you think to yourself, like, I don't have to listen anymore. I don't have to do that thing that person asked me to do. I've had conversations with people that are legitimate bosses of organizations that tell me they're so confused as why people don't listen to them more. And I look at them and I think to myself, like, how is this a problem? I'm not going to blame the boss per se for it. It's, I guess, societal, the way we live right now. But it just makes no sense that this is a challenge that anybody faces in any way whatsoever, because if you're the boss and you're paying my paycheck, I'll do whatever you ask me to do, man. I'm not going to fight you at all because I want to keep getting paid, and I want the company to keep doing whatever it is we're doing to make me that money to help me get paid. All right, that's it. That's the show. I'm out of here. Thrilled to be with you as always. The Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Talk to you tomorrow.
You're listening to the voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball, and AM.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Results are coming in from the Virginia redistricting special election that show no votes leading at the present time by 53 to 47%, with a little over half of the votes counted. The ballot measure was crafted by Democrats to offset redistricting battles in places like Texas.